Hello, welcome to Mushabbar,
I'm Ali.
and I am Syed Mushabbar Sadiq. Today we are going to talk about how you can get your Swedish driving license. We are going to make several videos about how to get Swedish driving license, and we are going to do that because I am going to teach two of my kids, Ali and Zavira, regarding driving lessons. They are both trying to get driving lessons, and I am their private instructor. So I am teaching them how they can get their driving lessons. And I thought while I am teaching them how they can get their driving lessons, I should also make these videos, because if I am going to make these videos, then first of all, Ali and Zavira, who are my children, they are going to learn this. And also, if you are interested to learn about the Swedish driving lessons, then also these videos will be useful for you guys. So I think it is very good idea to make such videos, so that not only I can learn, not only my two children, Ali and Zavira, can learn, but also you and other guys can learn the same stuff. So this video is a kind of overview video. I will talk about on a high level about what kind of steps you need to do to get the driving lessons. I will talk about my background. I will give a bit higher level information. But then in the future videos, I will give more information about the details. Maybe I will go step by step while I am teaching Ali and Zavira. I will also make videos, and you can learn more about the Swedish driving license. So if you like this video, and if you are interested in learning about the Swedish driving lessons, then I think you should join this channel. And if you like this video, please share this video not only to your friends and family members, but also to other people. Maybe this video can also help other people. So first question is that why someone should get a driving license. I think it is very important to get a driving license. Does not matter where you live, in which part of the world you are live. This video is focusing on the Swedish driving license, but does not matter in which country or in which place are you living. I think it is very important for every human being who has good mental health and good physical health. I think they all should get a driving license. I know that in Sweden and in some countries, it is actually discouraged to get a driving license because they want less people to drive cars. But it's not about just driving a car. Even if someone is not going to buy a car, or even if someone is not going to use a car or a vehicle today, even if someone don't want to use a driving license in their daily life, I think they should still go for a driving license. They should still get, because uh, driving license is at least I think that a driving license is very important in everyone's career. If you want to grow, if you want to have reach to a lot of things, then I think you should have a driving license, because driving license is not something that you can get instantly. You don't get this in one day. At least in Sweden, you don't get in one day or in 1 week or even in a month. It could take years. So you have to plan well about the driving license, and you should try to get it, because in future, if you need it, you should already have it and you can use it. And also, I think if you have access to a car or a vehicle or something, then it is very good for your future growth. Actually, about 25 years ago, I told all of my family members and brothers and sisters and even friends that they should have a driving license as soon as possible. It does not matter if you have a car or not. About myself, I got driving license in Sweden about I think 12 or 13 years ago, roughly about 12 and 13 years ago. And before that, I did not know how to drive. I am originally from Pakistan, and I never learned driving in Pakistan, so I never had any driving experience prior to Sweden. And actually, before me, my wife first got driving license in Sweden. She got about, I think, 15 or 16 years ago. We decided that she should get first the driving license because she knew how to drive a car. She learned driving a car in Pakistan, so she knew something about driving. So when she came in Sweden, so I thought first she should try to get a driving license because she already knew it, and I did not know it, so I thought I will do it later. So when she tried to get driving license, she was using driving schools. Driving schools in Sweden are pretty expensive, and I think it cost for her about 40-50,000 krona that time, long time ago, 15-16 years ago, and it was huge money. I think 40-50,000 krona in Sweden is still a huge money. And it took so much money because first of all, the driving schools are very expensive in Sweden. Secondly, even though if you know good driving in Sweden, it's not easy to get the driving license in first attempt. Actually, my wife, she had to try this for several times. I don't remember now, but I think she probably passed in fourth attempt or something. So she did multiple attempts, and even though she knew how to drive from the first day, and even though she got a lot of training from the driving school, still it took several attempts for her to pass, and it became pretty expensive. And to give you an idea about how difficult it is to get a driving license in Sweden, I think nowadays it is a bit easier. Those days it was even a bit harder. But still, I think it is not so easy in Sweden even nowadays. I want to show you some statistics about how difficult or how easy it is to get a driving license in Sweden. So just wait for some minutes. I want to share one website. So I think you can look here. This is the website from Körkortstillstånd.se portal. So at this website, you can find a lot of information about the driving lessons in Sweden. I have this. If you look at this comment section, you can also see the link here, Körkortsonline.se. This is Körkortsonline.se. So at this website, you can find a lot of information about the Swedish driving lessons. And here you can see that in 2019, last year, for the theory exam, 57% people failed. And for the driving test, 55% people failed. And the one who passed, this, I don't think that they passed this in first attempt. Probably they passed in second, third, fourth, fifth. Maybe some people are doing 10 attempts or so on. So this I just want to show you to give you an idea about how difficult it is to get a driving license in Sweden. Actually, I don't know any person in Sweden except myself who got the driving license in first attempt, who passed all the exams in the first attempt. Okay, what happened that after my wife got the driving license, I decided that I will never use the driving schools because they are so much expensive. We just bought a car because she had a driving license, so we just bought a car. And then I decided that I will learn by my own by using private instructor. So I found one of my very good friend. He is several years elder than me. His name is Chaudhry Imtiaz. If he's hearing this video, I should say that I am very thankful to Chaudhry Imtiaz because he became a private instructor for myself, just like now I am private instructor for Ali and for my daughter Zavira. So the same way he became a private instructor for myself, so he taught me how to drive a car in Sweden. And I have a habit when I go for an exam, it is my normal habit. I apply the same kind of rules for any kind of exam for my academic career or for my professional career. For example, I have given several such exams for other certifications. Um, and whenever I prepare for some exam, I try to prepare as concrete as possible. I don't look for shortcuts because I hear so many times from those people who are trying to get driving lessons in Sweden, they want shortcuts. I never followed any shortcut. I try to do everything properly. So when I tried to learn, first when I decided, okay, I am not going to go for driving school, I am going to learn by myself, but I will try to learn everything. So I bought the book. I read a book maybe more than multiple times, A to Z, instead of just buying a question and answers, because my experience is that if you study deeply, then doesn't matter what questions come in exam. If you know the concepts, you are able to answer all those kind of questions. And the same goes for practical. I learned from Chaudhry Imtiaz, and he was a great teacher. He's probably too old now to teach anything. Maybe he's teaching, but he has taught many students in the past. And I learned from him, I think, for more than a year. In those days, after you pass theory exam, I think you had like more than 1 year, maybe up to 2 years to appear in exam. So I used that time very well. I used to practice almost every week, some days maybe 7 8 hours with Chaudhry Imtiaz. I used to do rehearsal. I used to go to the same place where I was thinking I will book an exam, and I did a kind of real rehearsal so that Chaudhry Imtiaz was taking my exam just like a real instructor takes, and we did it multiple times. And when I had full confidence, then I appeared in the exams. And in Sweden, as I said, as you can see in these stats, I mean, doesn't matter how well you prepare, there's a high risk, there's a high chance that you will fail your first attempt. But luckily, I passed my exam in the first attempt. And I am thankful to Chaudhry Imtiaz uh, because he was my instructor and he taught me so well that I got passed. And he also told me I am his first student who got passed in first attempt. So, and I hope now when I teach my kids, Ali and Zavira, they should also pass all the exams in the first attempt. Ali, I am telling this to you because so that you can also try to get it passed in your first attempt. Can you do it?
Yes, I will try my best.
Okay, thank you. So I think if you are also listening to me, you all should try to pass this exam in the first attempt. It is possible. I did it. If I can do it, then you can also do it. And I should also tell you that if you fail, don't get worried, because sometimes even if you think there's no failure, and in reality if there's no failure, still you can fail, because in Sweden the examiner, he is in charge. He can decide whatever he likes. For example, one time my wife just failed because after the exam, he asked my wife that you have driven very well. How could you learn so well? And my wife was very happy because she thought she has passed, because that's why he was saying this thing, and she did not find any error. But then she replied that she knew driving already because she was driving in Pakistan. After the examiner heard this, he said that if you have been driving in Pakistan, it means that you should take some time to get used to Swedish environment. So he just thought that she is too new in Sweden, and she needs to know the Swedish environment much more before she should be allowed to drive in Sweden. Probably, if my wife should not have tell her that uh, tell the examiner that she never learned anything from Pakistan, maybe she could have passed. But just because she told her the examiner that she knew driving from Pakistan, the examiner just decided to actually to fail her, because and the examiner thought she need more time to understand the Swedish environment. So sometimes you just fail because due to examiner, because he could think something differently. And also, I think if there are two examiners and they are going to test the same student at the same time in the same car, both the examiner can have can decide different things. One examiner could say that okay, someone is passed, and other examiner could say that no, he cannot pass, he has done this mistakes. So there's lot of I will say qualitative judgment. Quantitative judgment is something that that means that there is clear technical failures. So even if you don't have technical failures, even if you do good job, there's something called qualitative judgment. On the qualitative judgment basis, the examiner can just say that okay, you need to learn more about the Swedish environment, you could be dangerous to the society, and blah blah blah. So still, if you are a good student, if you have learned everything, if you get failed, don't get disappointed, because in Sweden, as I told you, it's not easy to pass the driving exam in first attempt. But luckily, I did it. I passed the exams in the first attempt, and not only I passed this driving exam in the first attempt. That time it was called Vag Varkat, who used to manage these exams. Now this Vag Varkat has changed to Traffic's Varkat. Here you can see Traffic's Varkat in the comment section. This is the website for the Traffic Varkat. So the Traffic Varkat, they manage these exams, and they not only manage the driving exam for Körkort B. Körkort B in Swedish is used for means that it is a driving license for normal people, for the normal cars. There are different kind of driving licenses. There are also professional driving licenses, for example, for the taxi or for limousine, or for commercial. In Sweden, we call bils for commercial traffic, for bus, for truck, for railway, whatever. So this traffic worker, they arrange all kind of exams, and I have given actually 8 more exams for other kind of licenses from the same organization, and those were also the exams for the driving licenses, but for professional driving licenses. And luckily, I passed all those exams. So in total, about 10 or 11 exams I gave, I think, from Traffic's Workat for the driving license, and I passed all those exams in the first attempt. And by the way, for the Körkort B, I gave exams in English because I don't know Swedish. But the other exams, about 8 exams, I gave in Swedish language, and I don't know good Swedish. Actually, I almost know zero Swedish, and the exams were in Swedish. But I prepared in such a way that okay, I used to translate the question from Swedish to English. So because there was no other choice, the exams were only in Swedish. So I learned the Swedish that is needed for the exams. And then I was thinking I will never pass those exams because even the Swedish people who has mother tongue in Swedish, who born here in Sweden, who has both parents Swedish, they fail these exams. So all the exams that I passed, about 11 exams, all those exams, I mean, I think the pass percentage rate is about 40%, 60% people fail, as I showed you in the stats. And those 60% people are Swedish people. So the point is that it's not easy to pass in Sweden, but it was, I think, thanks to God or thanks to Allah, or maybe I used to also prepare in such a way that there's a very less chance of failure. So I passed luckily all my exams in the first attempt, and I think you should also try to do that. So let's come back to the driving lessons. For a, in Sweden, as I said, there are several kind of driving licenses, and also in other countries there are several kind of driving licenses. But the first or the basic driving license that is valid for normal vehicles like car, or maybe even a big vehicle, is called Körkort B. It's called category B. And here at this website, this is also a website you can see in these links. Here you can find the information about what steps you need to prepare for your exams and how much it could cost. And here you can read that if you are trying to prepare your exam using private instructor, and if you pass all your exams in the first attempt, probably it's going to cost around 15,000 Swedish krona. And if you are going to use driving schools, then it could cost a lot more. Like I said, to my wife, it costs about 40,000-50,000 Swedish krona. And I think some people say that it's a good idea to mix private instructor with the driving school to balance your cost. So if you want to do, you can do that. But I mean, I will never recommend to go for a driving school, because in my experience, if shows that if you are a hardworking, if you have a self-control, if you have a good private instructor, then you can pass in first attempt, and you can prepare everything for yourself. And if you're going to go for a driving school, you could still fail 5 to 10 times, if not 2-3 times. And so why to go to driving school if you are still going to fail? So I think you can do the same thing, or maybe you can get better results if you learn from a private instructor, because it could cost less to you, and also you can practice a lot with private instructor, like I used to do for 7-8 hours, practice every day. So here you can see some details about what kind of costs and steps you need to do to get your driving license. First of all, whenever you need to prepare for exam, you need to have a permit. So even to learn for a Swedish driving license, you need a permit. In Swedish, it is called Körkortstillstånd. It's like a learn. It's called, I think in English it could be translated as learner's permit. To get the learner's permit, you need to give an eye test. So this is the cost for the eye test. It's roughly 200. It could cost 500 as well. Then if you are going to use a private instructor, you cannot use anyone as a private instructor. You can only use private instructor who has valid driving license from last 5 years, and he has not done a major mistake, or he's a good driver. Then you can use him. But both you and the driver, they also need to get a training. It's called some kind of introduction. I think the name is like introduction training or something like, or induction training. So you have to you have to take those lessons. It's only lesson for 4 or 5 hours or for one day, maybe 7, 8 hours. I don't remember now. So I and Ali, we both took this training for one day, so that he can become my student and I can also teach him. The instructor only need to take training one time, and he can have multiple students. For example, I am teaching both Ali and daughter, and I can teach maybe 10 more. There's an upper limit. I don't remember what is the upper limit. Then there's the theory book cost. And then if you want to buy some questions from the computer so that you can practice, there are also a lot of free questions, but I think it worth to buy some questions also. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Some people only practice from questions. I think that is useless, because if you don't know the theory, then probably you are going to fail. So question and answers cannot going to help you. If you're going to buy practice questions, I think they are not going to help you alone. You have to know some basics, because you are not going to get exactly same questions. Okay. And as I said to you, that some people they prefer to take both lessons from the driving school and lessons from the private instructor. Uh, um, and here they have added some cost from the driving school. So maybe this is like an average cost of a driving school, like 800 krona per hour. And one thing I should also tell you, if you are going to take a lesson from a driving school, then 1 hour does not mean that they are going to teach you 60 minutes. Probably they are going to teach you 45 minutes, and then some minutes for coffee or tea or something, and then maybe they are going to also spend some minutes to tell you about theory, some, because they can't ask you just sit on the car and drive. So this time is not your only your driving time. You need to get some also some information from the instructor before you can drive. So think about that when you buy some hours from the driving school. These hours does not mean that you are going to spend like 60 minutes of whole 1 hour on a car driving. Maybe you are only going to spend 30 to 45 minutes on a car, and the rest of the time just talking or maybe just taking a rest. Okay. Then risk training and skid training. In our times it used to be called halkbana in Swedish. Maybe it's still called halkbana. I don't know. And I think if I remember correctly, we had only we gave this halkbana only one time. So if there were two parts, it was covered only in one setting. But looks like nowadays they are part one and part two. They have divided this into two parts. So anyway, this is like a training. These are the risk training. Basically means they want to tell you, they want to teach you, or they want to ensure that you know how danger it is to drive in a ice. So they want to give you an experience while you are driving in ice with high speed. So if you drive on ice with high speed, and if you are going to turn, what is going to happen with your car? What kind of accident you can face? So they just want to give you an experience so that you can be careful in a real life. So this is like a safe environment where they want you to make a mistake so that you can feel an experience. So it is like a slippery road they have, or they have icy road, and they want you to overspeed and then turn so that your car gets out of control and it just slips. And then it has different kind of systems, like they have ABS in Sweden. There's it's almost mandatory to have an ABS brake. So how the ABS brake behaves, and how much time it takes for you to get the car back into control. So They just want to give you an experience uh, that if you don't behave properly on a road in a real life, what kind of danger you are going to face. And almost no one fails in this one. Everyone pass. I heard that there was one time there was a lady who got failed, and because she was wearing the wrong kind of shoes. So when you go for these exams, have good shoes. Don't have like a lady's sandal, because you need to have proper shoes that you can use to drive a car. So if you are going to use proper shoes, no one is going to fail these risk training, because they are not exam, they are like a training. They are trying to make sure that you get the feeling uh, of what could go wrong or what could happen if you drive inappropriately in, for example, icy roads. Because in Sweden there's a lot of snow in the winter, so they want to give you that experience. Okay, then there are other costs, and in total you can see they have estimated that if you pass in first attempt, it could cost around 15,000 Swedish krona. But I think in reality, for most of the people, it costs more. For me, I mean, my wife bought all these books. For example, I did not need to buy any book. I did not took any uh, lessons from the school. I only use private instructor, but I drove a lot. Like I said, I drove about 1.5 years before I appeared in exams, because I had all the time in the world. Uh, and I did not calculate how much it would have cost for me to drive, because it was like my own car, and maybe it was petrol cost, or something like that, or lunch cost, or so. These are the different steps you need to follow to get a driving license in Sweden, and these are estimated costs. So I think if you are a sharp student, if you are going to spend, if you are if I mean, think about that. If you are trying to make shortcuts, you will end up in a long cut. Most of the people who are trying to make shortcuts, they fail, and they end up on higher. They have to pay more. But if you are going to do proper training, after hard working, after understanding, you can pass in first attempt, and probably it could cost around 15,000 krona for you instead of 40-50,000 krona. And other website I think I should tell you about is Traffic's Workat. As I told you earlier, that uh, Traffic's Workat is the website that manages all kind of exams. So if you want to book your exam, you go to shortcode and then book approve. Here you book your exams. So you have to book your exams here. You have this website also in English, but I think in English you cannot book, but you have a lot of information in English. So you can read everything about here. The good thing to know here is about this thing. Uh, this is a good graph. Uh, you can read here. The road to a Swedish driving license can be divided into 9 different steps. So these are the different steps that you need to follow if you want to get a driving license in Sweden. And everyone has to go through these steps. So here is start and here is end. I think you should look into this into details. So first you have to apply for a learner's permit. It is called Körkortstillstånd, and you can do this when you are 16. In Sweden, I think you cannot get a driving license before you are 18, but you can practice it when you are 16. So Ali, when did you take your learner's permit?
I took it about 2 years ago.
So Ali took it about 2 years ago, this learner's permit. I think it is valid for 5 years. Do you remember?
No, I don't. But the paper that they give you, it says on it.
Okay. So when you get the permit, you will know for how long it is valid. I think probably it is valid for 5 years. So Ali took this about 2 years ago when he was 16. So right now Ali is perfect in driving. He can drive anywhere, even if you have to go to in the north of Sweden, he can take you, he can drive you. Um, but he has to learn and practice more, especially on the theory side. So if you have a private instructor like Ali, then you can have all the time in the world to learn. Okay, so after you get the learner's permit, you have to, if you are going to use a private instructor, you have to book an introduction course. This introduction course is together with the private instructor. So I uh, took actually instructor course together with Ali, and the instructor has to take only in one time, and he can teach multiple students. So I can teach maybe 10 students. I there is an upper limit. I don't remember what is that upper limit. But every student has to take an induction course, and you saw the fees in the previous web page. It was about 350 krona. That is an average fee. I think we paid like 400 or 500 somewhere that. Okay. So after you have taken the induction course, you should basically start practice for your driving. And when you practice your driving, they recommend that you should take some exams from the driving school because they are professionals, and you should mix it with your private instructors, because private instructors you can use um, I mean for a longer period, and also it gets cheaper for you to do that. But as I said, I never used any driving school. And also you combine your theory and practice together. And I know that Ali's theory is a little bit weak, but you should do this together. Theory and practice should go hand in hand, so that when you're driving, you should know all the symbols that are on the roads. You should know how to read different kind of markings on the roads and all the symbols, and also the labels on the road, labels and the signs. You should be able to do that. One thing I often talk with Ali, that he expects that I should tell Ali turn right and left. That is the wrong approach. You should know how to read the different markings on the roads and also the labels on the roads. For example, I should only tell you go to Arlanda. Then you should be able to find out the way how you are going to go to Arlanda by reading the labels and the markings. Okay, after you think you are ready, you can book for your risk building. Risk building is the risk training part 1 and part 2 we talked about earlier. And then you can also book for your tests, both for your theory test and your practical test. And first you give your risk training part 1 and part 2, and then you appear in your uh, driving test. That means basically theory test and practical test. If I am correct, then I think first you should appear in your theory test, then you should appear in your practical test, but book both tests at the same time, because there is a time limit for how long the theory can be valid. So you have to, I think, give the exams within 4 months. I have to look into these timings again, but that is how you should do that. And if you pass, you get your driving lessons. And after you get your driving lessons, the first few years, I think probably it is 4 years. I am not sure. I have to look again. For the first 4 years, probably you get like provisional driving lessons. It's like a temporary driving lessons. If you make a mistake, it can be cancelled uh, quickly, and you have to redo these exams and everything, and some of the trainings. But and if you fail, if you are going to fail, for example, then like you have after you are going to pass theory, you may have like 4 months. And if you are going to fail, like if you are going to fail practical tests, uh, you have to reappear in the practical test within that time limit. If you miss that time limit, 4 months or whatever months is that, then you have to reappear in the theory exam again. But I think when you plan for your exam, don't do it in hurry. Think about it, prepare well, and then try to pass in the first attempt like I did, and then the end of story. It could take 2 years, like Ali is getting training from last 2 years when he was 16. Actually, the Ali's training is going to start now more extensively. I will try to make sure he does more training now. Now he's 18 or close. Are you 18 now or close to 18, or how?
Close
When are
to
you going
18.
to be 18? When are you going to be
On
18?
December.
Okay, so he will be 18 soon. So I actually want that he should get a driving license, or he should at least appear in these exams before he gets 18. But let's see. I think he may take more time. But doesn't matter how much time it takes. When you appear in those exams, you should have a confidence that you are going to pass. So prepare well and don't make shortcuts, and then hopefully you will pass in first attempt. And if you pass in first attempt, please write your comments under this video, because I want to know how many people have passed in first attempts. Like I said, I have never seen any person in my life who has passed these exams in first attempt. To whomever I have talked, they always told me that they have failed one time or more times. And also, as I said, I have also taken some more licenses on top of the common driving license, the Körkort B. So on top of Körkort B, I have taken other licenses too, and I have given like 8 more exams. And these are like 2 and then 8, 10, about 10, 11 exams I have given, and I have never passed, never failed. I have passed all the exams in the first attempt. This is a thank you to Allah, basically, and maybe also it was a good luck, because as I told you, it doesn't matter how good you are, there's a risk of failure. But try to get your exams passed in first attempt. There are also some more good websites I should tell about you. This is the Traffic School Online. This is Driving School Online. Maybe it is good for you to look into that. Maybe you can get some kind of a theory practice here. I never use these things. As I said, I only use private instructor and the book. That was the basic thing. Okay, this is Traffic's Workat. This is Traffic's Workat website, and here you can find some videos. And this is one of the video. There are several videos you can find in this Traffic Workat website. I think go through these videos. They will tell you about uh, details about or updated details about the driving lessons and what steps you should follow. These are the same steps that I just talked about. This is also very important website, Transportstillelsen. Uh, Transportstillelsen is an organization that manages all kind of traffic regulations and rules, and they're responsible for the traffic management. And they also and and if you are going to go for a driving lessons, and even after you have got driving lessons, you are going to use this website maybe on daily basis for different purposes. So this is important website. I already showed you. This is also a good website, shorecode.sc. Here you can read everything about shorecode. Yeah. So I think in this video, this is the only thing that we thought to cover today. If you have any question or anything, uh, please write your question or feedback or comments, whatever. under this video in the YouTube channel. And as I said to you, if you like this video, please press the like button. If you want to know about the future videos, if you want, because we are going to make a lot of videos, not only on this topic, also on other topics. And if you want to know about those videos, so please also press the bell icon. If you will, if you're going to press the bell icon, then automatically you are going to know when we are going to publish future videos. And I think also it is very good thing if you can share this video to all of your friends and family members. Spread this video to whom you like, in whatever media you like, so that if other people who want to know about the Swedish driving lessons, who want to understand it, they can understand it. And if you have any question, just please write your comment. So thank you to all of you. And before I say goodbye, Ali, do you want to say anything?
Not really. Just work hard for your driving lessons.
Okay, that was a very good advice. So thank you to all of you, and see you next time.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Allah Hafiz.